The Chrysalids, John Wyndman. First of all, I apologise for my voice. I spent a long time yesterday in what was essentially a cloud of pollen, and the consequences of that are they're taking over my body, and I might sneeze a few times in this. It's not my fault. It's the fault of these morning glories, as they're called in this island, an invasive species of very potently pollinated weed. Nevertheless, The Chrysalids by John Wyndman. It's a book I read over the past few days. I've read John Wyndman before. I read The Day of the Triffids, and I was reminded of that book before I even knew the author of this one. In the name The Chrysalids, I thought, hey, that sounds like Day of the Triffids by John Wyndman. Then I pull this one out. Hey, who wrote it? John Wyndman. He's obviously got a pattern in his titling. But what are chrysalids? I wondered. And I still wondered in the final pages of this book where there doesn't seem to be any mention or definition declared of the title. So I looked it up. Chrysalids are, chrysalis is the hard shell that surrounds an insect like a moth or a butterfly in the process of gaining its ability to fly when it's in its cocooning stage, as most of us would understand that process as. That is a chrysalis, a cocoon. Remember that. It'll come in handy later. Okay. So, John Wyndman in this book uses a dystopian setting that we are to understand instinctively as a nuclear torn landscape. There is vast amounts of blackened, totally devastated land in which no life can exist, in which we expect to be the area where a nuclear bomb might have dropped, or many nuclear bombs might have dropped. On the fringes of that dead zone, we have what are called the fringes, where things do grow again and life does survive, however with mutations, strange alterations of body and form and shape. And on the further away stages of the fringes, we have even more so land which is less affected by what we assume is just radiation, and people and plants exist largely as we would expect. Now, the people who exist in the places where things grow as we would expect, they let me see here. Right. This book doesn't exactly focus on the people who exist in this world and their lifestyles and their mutations, but more so the societal perceptions of the mutations and the mutated peoples, the mutants. So, explains to us and puts into narrative form how these mutations are considered ungodly, dangerous to the image of the true God, which, if we are to suppose that God created us in his image, which is with 5 fingers, 5 toes, 2 eyes, a nose and a mouth, 2 ears, all the rest of it, then these mutant people, who are really just people who are experiencing some kind of radiation sickness, they are not just a disturbance of God's design, but they are an affront to it, and they're persecuted for it and thrown out, and babies with mutations are left to the wolves, as they say, and other horrible things are happening. And so we suppose that Wyndman is creating here a suggestion that an intolerance of otherness, while they think of it as a dangerous a dangerous force against their godliness, what is actually happening is Wyndman is suggesting that the danger is a intolerance of God. This sickness is fogging my mind up dearly. The intolerance of otherness is actually, in matter of fact, a dangerous characteristic of religious orthodoxy. Bang. That's it. Got there in the end. Intolerance of otherness is a dangerous characteristic of religious orthodoxy. And the others, in whatever scenario they may be, truly are not that dangerous after all. Interesting, right? However, our narrator, the protagonist, is a mutant as well. However, his mutations are not of the physical form of his outward body, but of the consciousness. He has a mutated consciousness, and his ability, along with the other people who have the same mutation, is that they can understand and interpret and communicate with each other telepathically. Now, in this religiously unsophisticated society, they are in danger of being kicked out, thrown to the fringes, where they might starve. But as we understand throughout the book, this mutation should really and could really be considered an evolution of the human form. No danger involved. In fact, a simple upgrade on God's original design. Can such a thing be possible? To upgrade God's original design? And who's to say what God even looked like, really? As the book points out, people with 6 toes might think that they are also in God's design. But this mutation, which increases the mental fortitude and the mental ability to communicate collectively, is not a dangerous mutation, but a sense of evolution. And here, I think, explains the title the Chrysalids, in which he has made grouping of Chrysalids, a people belonging to that process, the Chrysalids. The process of getting your wings, so to speak, of evolution, rapid evolution. And before I finish up this review, I'll say that he also suggests that the evolution, well, we can just see it through the narrative tale, which is to go from a religious orthodoxy, which is intolerant of otherness, to an evolved state of being, which is an evolved state of mind, which is the consideration of humans as a being together. If we are able to think and put our minds together collectively, then we are, in sense, transcending, and perhaps thinking that God also is omniscient. Well, is that not also more applicable and more aligned with God's image? It's a very clever book. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm not putting it into words quite how clever it is. I would say one of the more clever aspects of it is that it's a short book, 180 pages of a smaller size. It's a short book. He doesn't waste time here. It goes from description, like interesting descriptions of landscape and of characterization and of putting you in a place, to debate on theories of evolution and of religion. I like the fact that it was shorter. That's probably the reason I picked it from the shelf, this one particularly. I'd give it 4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5. And I'll read to you an excerpt before I finish. There's people around here. The answer startled me. I was not aware that I had sent out the thought at large. Let him be, came the severe, clear pattern from the Sealand woman. Your work is to survive. Neither his kind nor his kind of thinking will survive long. They are the crown of creation. They are ambition fulfilled. They have nowhere more to go. But life is change. That is how it differs from the rocks. Change is its very nature. Who then were the recent lords of creation that they should expect to remain unchanged? The living form defies evolution at its peril. If it does not adapt, it will be broken. The idea of completed man is the supreme vanity. The finished image is a sacrilegious myth. The old people, that's us by the way, brought down tribulation and were broken into fragments by it. Your father and his kind are a part of those fragments. They have become history without being aware of it. They are determined still that there is a final form to defend. Soon they will attain the stability they strive for, in the only form it is granted, a place among the fossils. I mean, how good is that? And so profound. change is the only state of being. True state of being is change. We all, I think, need to open ourselves up to it. As just a means of pure being, pure intelligent awareness is to understand change and allow yourself to change and bring us together. 4.5 stars out of 5. I hope to get more succinct in these reviews because I can feel myself rambling. Nevertheless, I recommend it, and Day of the Triffids as well. John Wyndman is clearly a very intelligent writer. Peace.